Hi and welcome. I'm Mrs. Page and I'm going to be showing you how to use Notability today. If you could go ahead and open up the app. You should come to a screen that looks something like this. You probably don't have any notes there yet. You can see I have some things along the side because I use Notability all the time in the physics classes that I teach here at Prospect. First thing I want you to do is take a look on the bottom of your screen. You'll see there's a question mark. Go ahead and press on that. You'll see that's a user guide. You can go in there anytime to learn some of the things that we are going to learn here today and probably even some more. The first thing I would like for you to do is look across the top of your screen and you'll see there is a plus. Go ahead and hit the plus key and you'll see you have two choices there. We're going to start by organizing your classes for the year and creating some folders where you can keep your notes for each class. They'll be nice and organized and you'll be able to find what you need every day when you sit down to take notes or to review what you've learned or to practice your math or whatever it is you're going to be doing in Notability. So the two words that you see here are subject and divider. Divider is the courses that you're taking. It's just a way to kind of put a break between all of the folders you'll be seeing once you begin to create lots of notes here in Notability. Subject is another word for the unit or topic that you are working on within each class that you're taking. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and create some dividers, and you're going to want to title these after the classes that you're taking. So click on Create Divider, and I'm going to put a couple classes in here for example. So biology, then I'm going to hit Done. Then I'll hit the plus, Create Divider, and then I'm going to put in Math. Then I'll hit Done, then I'll hit plus, Create Divider, and then I'll put in Human Geo. So you can continue to do that and put in the courses that you are taking this year. Now, once you get to these classes, you're going to want to go ahead and organize your notes, either by chapter, title in Chapter 1, Chapter 2. In math, you might want to actually title it by day, depending on the math teacher you have. They might call it Day 1, Day 2. In the class that I teach, physics, we typically organize our units by topic. So we'll name one Newton's laws and we'll name another one projectile motion. So you'll have to figure that out when you get to each class, but let's do an example. Let's say I'm sitting in my math class and we're starting on Chapter 1. So I'm going to hit plus and I'm going to say Create Subject and I'm going to call it Chapter 1 and hit Enter. Now, you'll see that it plopped it under Human Geo. If that's where I want the the Chapter 1 to be, then that's perfect. It's right where it belongs. But let's say I wanted that up underneath math. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit at the top. And you'll see there's three little bars to the right of each word. If you grab that and drag, you can move it all around. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it to where math is because that's where it belongs. So when we call the courses here dividers, they are quite literally just a divider on the screen between all of the folders that you are going to make, the subject folders. You can slide those around. So once you've got it where you want it, you can go ahead and hit Done. And you'll see I have my Chapter 1, 2 or 3. And that's how you will begin to organize each of your sections within the course. After that, let's go ahead and make a note. So I'm in Chapter 1. I'm going to go ahead and on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see there's something that looks like a pencil writing on the paper. If you click on that, you'll get a new note. Now, today, when I'm making this video, is June 24th, 2015 at 12:04 p.m. And that is probably not the best file name for this note that I'm trying to find if I'm sitting in math class. So if I click up there, you'll see I get a keyboard and I can change the name of my note. Now, sometimes your teachers will tell you what to name a note. Other times you might just want to figure out a little system on your own. But if this is Chapter 1 and it's Day 1 in math, then maybe I'm just going to call this Day 1. And that is the name of my note. So I want to go back and take a look at what this looks like before I teach you how to actually use Notability and see what it looks like as far as the organization. So in the upper left-hand corner, you can see there's an arrow. I'm going to click on that. It brings me back to the home screen. And you can see I have that Day 1 note sitting there. It is not filed. what I want to do is I'm going to click on it, and you can see now I can move it around. So I'm going to take day 1 and I'm going to just drag it right into chapter 1. And so now I have it nice and organized. Math, chapter 1, day 1, there it is. And I can just click on that, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and make another note just so that you can see how these look as they start to accumulate throughout the school year. So I'm going to hit the pencil again, and I'm going to call this note day 2, just to show you what it looks like. This is my second day of math, and I've got another second note. Now, you might not want to have a separate note for every single day of class. In physics, I typically have my students just open one note for the whole unit, and they take all of their notes just under one note file. So you're going to have to figure that out on your own, what makes the most sense for you. But I just wanted to show you what this looks like organized. So if I go over here, day 2, I'd want to grab, and it actually had put it in there for me already. But had I been in another class, it might not have done that. So I've got now both of these notes filed, and they're chronological because of what I have chosen at the top. If you look under the word chapter 1, you can see it says name, modified date, created date. So if I do it by name, it's going to organize them alphabetically. If I do it by modified date, it's going to put the most recent one at the top. That was most recently changed. Created date is exactly that, when it was created. I typically like to leave mine on when it's modified, because then the very last thing I was working on will be at the top of the list. Now, if you don't want to have to go into all of your folders, you can just click at the top, All Notes. And when I click that, you can see the last 2 things that I did, day 1 and day 2, are at the top. So what you're going to want to do then is just decide if you want to keep it all notes, or if you want to keep it organized by looking at it per subject. That's up to you. Okay, now again, I want to show you what you can do underneath that Edit tab. So I'm going to go and click on that. So if you click on Edit, you can see all sorts of things can happen here. You've got your notes, all of your dividers are there, and you can see how many notes are underneath, how many folders are underneath each topic. So for me, under my physics folder, I have 10 different subjects listed there where I have notes filed away, and it's all by unit. For you, in the example one we did today for math, we have, chapter 1 is the only subject or topic that we have underneath there. This is where you can delete notes, you can change the order of how they view, they're viewed on your screen, and you can do that by, like what I showed you before. If I have biology last in the day, maybe I want to slide that and put it down. If human geo is my last class of the day, maybe I want that to show up last in my list, if that makes more sense to you. If you click on the little cog, you can actually rename it, or you can delete it entirely. So if you made a divider that you didn't want today, like the example ones that I'm showing you, you can go ahead and delete those and put in the ones that make sense for you. Also, what you can do is if you have a whole list of notes, so for example, if I just go into one of my files here, you can see I've got all these notes sitting here. You can click and change the name of notes. Oops. You can also, when you're done with that, click on the note itself and delete it. You can also duplicate it. So if you look at the top, you have 2 options there. There's a trash can, and then there's also a plus key. If I hit the plus, it asks me if I want to duplicate that note. So you might have a reason to do that from time to time. I don't know. You'll just have to see what happens in the school year and see how you need to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done. So that you can see this is what this main screen looks like again. You can also very quickly get rid of things just on this main screen by swiping left. See how it'll allow me to delete? You can delete entire subjects. So you might want to be careful with that. And again, when you have it open, you can do the same with each file. You can swipe left and delete that way as well. Just so that that's another little quick way to get rid of something that you didn't mean to do. Moving on, let's go to make sure that once you start to have all these notes that they're going to be backed up. Just in case something happens to your iPad, you want to make sure you don't lose all your work for the year. So what I want you to do is click on the cog on the bottom, that little wheel. That's the settings tab. And you'll see you've got all these things that open up right away. If you look along the left-hand edge of that menu, there's auto backup, there's a place to manage your accounts, iCloud, and then a bunch of other things there that we'll take a look at in a minute. The thing that I want you to do today is I want you to go ahead and click on Google Drive. And once you click on Google Drive, you're going to have to sign into your account. So go ahead and click on email, and I'm going to show you a little trick. Go ahead and type in your name, and you're going to type in @d214.org. Once you do that, don't put your password in. Go ahead and hit sign in, and then you're going to click on username, and you're going to go ahead and put in your password. And it will log you in to your D214 account. It's asking you if this is all okay. Go ahead and hit accept. It's all fine. And now, as you can see there, it shows you that your notes will automatically back up to Google Drive as a PDF. And then, you can tap on the gear to see additional options. So when you open up your Notability and go into settings, you should always see that little wheel next to Google Drive. That means that your notes are backing up to your district Google Drive accounts, and everything will be in Docs. The great thing about that is, if something does happen to your iPad, you can reload Notability to the new iPad that you get. And everything you have done will be there. The other great thing about that is you can also access all of these files from Google Drive, from any computer. So you definitely want to have that turned on at all times. I have seen several students lose their work because they didn't bother to go through those steps, and it can be devastating if you're looking for, an entire quarter's worth of work that you've done. So make sure that cog is showing up. You want to check it every once in a while. Some other things that you want to check out on this screen, if you go ahead and click down, you can see under Manage Accounts. If you want to log into those other things, you can feel free to do that if those are things that you use. You want to make sure that iCloud is always on. It's a nice backup to have. Themes, you can figure that out on your own. Document is nice to take a look at because you can decide what you want as your default note paper. The screen in Notability doesn't have to be blank. You can have it always open with lined paper. You can have it open with colored paper. You can have graph paper there as the default. Once you're in a note, you can always choose those options as well. I'm going to show you that later. But however you want it to open every single time, you can control that from this screen. If you don't like the date being at the top, you can turn that on and off. If you want it to also include the time, you can turn that on and off. That's up to you. And if you want it to have a default title, it doesn't always have to say note. You can change that and have it say whatever you want it to say. If you click on typing, you can change the default font and the size and the color. You can have a spell check on, and you can check all those things out on your own. If you are left-handed, you want to take a look at this and see if this is something that you want to turn on or not. Most of my left-handed students are very grateful for the left-handed mode. So you want to check that out as well. Moving forward, let's go ahead and go into a note. So today we created some notes. It's under our math file under Chapter 1. I'm just going to take day 1 and open it up because I would like for you to see some of the things that you can actually do within Notability once you're taking notes. First thing I want you to do is click on the little pencil, and you can choose a color, anything you like. I'm going to take Prospect Blue. And you can choose how thick you want the line to be, from very, very fat, to medium width, to smaller. And you're going to see there are different times when you may need a different width pen, and you can just kind of play with that. So you can just kind of maybe write your name for right now. Again, I'm Mrs. Page. Hello. And I want to show you some of the things you can do with written text once you have that written out. So I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. In my class, oftentimes we'll make a T-chart, and we're going to graph using X and Y coordinates. And let's say I'm having my students make lots and lots of these. Instead of rewriting this X and Y T-chart, because I'm very proud of the way that it looks and I don't want to have to rewrite it, I'm going to go ahead and take the scissor tool. I'm going to circle this, And if I press and hold, I get a little menu that pops up, and it gives me some options. So I can delete it if I don't like it. I can actually just kind of move it around if I want to move it around, which is fun. You can copy it, and then if I scroll down a little bit and press and hold, I can paste it so that I've got that same image, and I can paste it over and over and over and move it around to wherever I need it to be. If you don't like what just happened at the top, slightly to the left, you see that little undo. And if I click on that, it will go away. And if I click on it again, it'll go away. And if I click on it again, it will keep undoing what you did. You can also erase using the eraser at the top. So let's say it wasn't XY. Let's say it was XZ. And let's say I didn't like where I put that Z, and I want to kind of move it over a little bit. So I can just circle it and move it. So the scissor tool is very handy for cutting, for pasting. You can play around with that and see what else it can do. There's a highlighter up here as well, so if you really want to make sure that you're seeing what it is that you're doing, you can do some highlighting. You can use that in any color and in any width you can see is there. And if you want to type something, you can click on the T and just touch the screen, and it will give you your keyboard. You can see I typed the word hi, but let's say I don't want it over there. I want to be able to move it around. If I press and hold, it will allow me to add a text box. And once I do that, I can control the size of that box, I can drag it around, and then you've got all sorts of different options there. You can change what it looks like in the background. You can put some lines behind it, some grid paper. You can make it really fun. All kinds of options once you have that text box. Some other tools that you might want to use right away as you're getting used to Notability, some things that you should know. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, let's go ahead and touch the plus. That's where you can insert photos that are already on your machine. That's where you can take a photo. There's all sorts of other things that you can take a look at and learn as you go along. If you touch the wrench that's right next to there, that's where you can change the paper right when you're within your note. So if you're in math class and you need some graph paper, you can go ahead and click on that, and it will give you graph paper. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple sheets of paper, and if you click on the sheets of paper there on the edge, I'm going to go back and make this just white. You can see there is a plus and an X. So this is the very right-hand little sheets of paper there show all of the sheets that are in your notes that you're taking. And if you hit the blue, it gives you an option to add a page above or add a page below. So if you are sharing a worksheet, let's say, with Notability and you need some extra space to do your work, you can add a page below or above, and it will just give you a blank spot to work. If you decide you don't need that page, you can hit the X, and it gives you the option to either clear it if you were writing on top of a PDF file, or to delete the page entirely. So that all happens on the right-hand side. Okay, we're almost done. The last thing I want to show you is, let's say you're all finished here and you want to go ahead and turn this in to Schoology. Now you should have seen this a little bit, but maybe this is the first time that you've had to do that. So in the upper left-hand corner, you see the box with the up arrow. We're going to click on that. And it's asking you, where would you like to share this file? All sorts of places you can share this file. You can see the list there. But what you're typically going to do in class is you're going to choose the option on the bottom called Share. Once you're in there, you're going to leave it as a PDF. You click on PDF and choose that. Should already be the default. And click on Share Note. And now you're going to get some options, and you can scroll to all the places on your device that plays nice with Notability. And typically you're going to want to share with Schoology. Now mine's going to look different than yours because I'm in teacher mode and you'll be in student mode, but you're going to click on Open in Schoology, and it's going to go ahead and bring you over there, and it's going to bring you through a list of menus. Hopefully you'll already be logged in so you won't get to this screen here. So it'll bring you through a list of menus.